Brilliant.
Community boards.
I'm going a lot better than that last person. Righto, community board reports. Okay, we'll now hear from our community boards. First up is Spraden Cashmere Heathcote, and Callum, please, and Kia. Thank you.
Thanks for welcoming us here back again today. Should have a relatively straightforward presentation today. So this is what's been going on in our part of town. We've had the opening of the Hoonhay Community Centre, and so this is on Hoonhay Road. It's a former children's library. The community's been pushing really hard for a long time for that library to be refurbished and have some extra amenities added to it, like a kitchenette and a accessible toilet. And after pushing for a long time, we've been able to deliver that as a council for that community. So it was just a fantastic day of celebration. And you can see Carolyn Potter there having an absolute blast. Yeah, and you know, a lot of credit goes to her and to Mel, as well as the Jenny and Alistair and Bernie, who are part of the Hoonhay Community Association. So yeah, just a good news story from us. I wanted to talk a bit as well about the Strengthening Communities funding. So our board's made a lot of decisions recently about who we're funding in our area. You can see a bit of a word cloud of the recipients up on the slides. I'm not going to go through in detail exactly who, because it's too many to name, but just wanted to talk a bit about the overall, I guess, priorities for our board for funding that we're looking to over the next year. So we've directed staff that as part of the health check processes that they go through for all of the groups that we fund, that we have a special focus on ensuring that the groups that we fund have policies that are inclusive of diverse communities, and in particular the rainbow community, and in particular the rainbow community for youth focused organisations. We're also wanting to ensure that the groups that we're funding, where possible, foster and encourage community-led development rather than just sort of social service provision. We feel that our board has a fund, and that fund has a purpose, and we want our funding to be focused on that purpose of actually creating stronger communities. And we think that the best way to achieve that is through groups that are community-led, and where possible, staffed and governed diversely, and also staffed and governed by people who actually live in the communities that they're serving. Some of our really, really vibrant communities are sort of led from the grassroots in the places that they are serving by people who live there. Did you want to add anything to that?
One of the other things is we had a really great conversation with the living wage movement and some living wage accredited community development organisations about some of the challenges that community organisations face paying the living wage, and how as funders we can work with them to make sure that the staff that they have doing that work get adequately and properly recognised. So that's something that we're going to continue working with staff on, but I guess something would also really encourage council as a whole to think about long term is how do we make sure those community development organisations are getting in a position to pay a living wage for the staff doing that important work.
And we recognise as well that not all of our groups, many of our groups won't be in a position to be doing that straight away. So it's not it's more of a supporting those aspirations where they exist at the moment. Yeah. Did you want to talk to our Part A?
So this is a very straightforward dedication of local purpose road reserve as road. Essentially, during COVID, there were some paperwork that we need to tidy up now, so that will be coming to you later today, and hopefully will be a very brief and quick matter to make sure it gets over the line, just to make sure that everything is legally nice and tidy.
Yeah, just the board unanimously supporting the staff recommendation. And finally, it wouldn't be a Waihoro board presentation without a mention of the South Library. So we're getting a report coming to our next board meeting about the options for rebuild, repair, or delayed rebuild, etc. And yeah, we're really looking forward to making a recommendation to council about the concept design in the near future. Cool. So that's all from us.
Wonderful. We've got time for one question, but I think you've done such a great job, there is none.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so now we have from Waimari Herwood, please.
Tēnā koutou katoa, everyone.
Morning.
So, first up, here we go. First up, just want to take you through the decisions made under delegations, which are just there on the screen. So there's been a whole range from approving the urban forest planning for for Jeffreys Reserve, to approving the grants for Strengthening Communities Fund, to a range of board projects for funding as well, and youth development funds too. And then we've also had a few exciting public forums, one in particular regarding two local residents around a tree in Otara Reserve in Fendleton.
Great. We've mentioned this initiative before, but we just wanted to share an example of this model being picked up by other groups. The Fendleton School PTA has seen the collection bins in the Fendleton Library and got in touch with our local community rec advisor, Lisa Gregory, to find out more about it. With support from Lisa, the school have replicated the initiative and have been collecting gear from their local school community and donating it to other children and families. It's really great to see others using the model, and we'd love to see this initiative all over the city.
And then we have the Brynwood Banter. So our local community development advisor, Natalie Daly, has been working with groups in the Brynwood area to look at gaps in service and possible new projects for them to collaborate on. One idea that came out of the group was to produce a community newsletter for local residents. There are lots of activities and services available in the community, but not everyone knows about them, particularly new people moving into the area. So the first Brynwood Banter has recently been delivered to all households in the area, which includes information about what is happening in the local area, what services local community groups can provide as well. A calendar of activities and events was also included with the letterbox drop, and the next banter is due to be delivered in November.
Like many board areas across the city, we are seeing new Kāinga Ora housing developments being built in our community. 3 new ones in our area include Main North Road in Belfast, Graham's Road in Burnside, and Bevan Place, Aorangi Road in Brynwood. We have seen some really positive examples of engagement as a result of this, with our local staff developing a good relationship with the Kāinga Ora team. They have held drop-in sessions for local residents and invited neighbours and local community groups along for a walk through the new developments, which has been received well across the board area. Often the perception of the houses and those who will be living in them has been influenced by negative stories created by a small number of individual tenants that receive the attention. When people in the community have the opportunity to see what the reality of the building is and have their questions answered, many of these have said how much happier they are with the development. They've acknowledged that it is more about the fear of the unknown and so many new people moving in at once. Our local groups are doing welcome packs and we'll have events to help introduce the new residents to the existing residents. These housing developments mean more people have a chance to live in warm, safe and healthy environments.
We'd also like to take this opportunity to congratulate the council and the engagement team for the very successful What Matters Most campaign. Our community governance team ran a number of sessions with groups using the tool, including our community liaison group meeting, which Councillor Goff attended. The interactive nature of the tool really increased people's engagement, and we have received really positive feedback from those who participated. To be fair, in the past, it has been difficult to get people interested in the long-term plan, but this tool made it simple for people to understand the relevance of the decisions that council has to make. We look forward to continuing this level of engagement as the LTP planning progresses, so again, well done. And then lastly, as mentioned in one of our previous presentations to council, our community board nominated the Friends of Crosby Park for a Keep Christchurch Beautiful Award. We are very pleased to say that their nomination was successful, and it was wonderful to see them be acknowledged for the great mahi they do in terms of planting and maintenance around Island Stream in Crosby Park. The group consists of Notice, that's Network of the Island Stream, Russley Play Centre, Russley School, St Mark's Church, and local interested residents. The work is coordinated by our wonderful park ranger, Annalise, and our community development advisor, Karen Broke. So, yeah, and also thank you to all the other councillors and community board members who we got to meet at the Keep Christchurch Beautiful Awards. It's great to see you all there. And that's us for this month.
Hey, thanks. It was really, really good. Just a quick one. How good was it that local resident Taylor Bruce won the singles women's world champions for the bowls?
Yes, that's a great point, Sam. Yes, it was.
It's always
really
a good opportunity to talk about the Burnside Bowling Club. They did bloody well. So.
That's a good point. Yeah, no, we do have some exceptional people in our area when it comes to bowling, and I also believe that coming up soon we have the Fendleton Bowling Club as well. Is going to be celebrating the opening, which is exciting.
I think Christchurch has got an entry in the Keep New Zealand Beautiful Awards as well. Do you know about that? Heard it on the radio today as the most interesting city that's coming up. Do you know?
As in the city,
Yes.
has been nominated.
Yes.
I'm not sure. I'll
Have a look.
yeah, have a wee look.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kia ora koutou. Thank you for the opportunity to come along and update you today on what's been happening in our Waipapa Papanui Inner Central board area. At our August meeting, we had some good public engagement, followed by a number of staff reports for approval. A couple of the major ones were the approval of the urban forest planting plan for Lancaster Park, and also the green light for the Innes Road Street renewal project. It was great to be able to grant our Strengthening Communities funding to 39 groups across the board area. As usual, the fund was oversubscribed, but our staff did a good job of aligning their recommendations with our community board plan priorities, and we know the funding will make a real difference in meeting the needs of our communities. Oh, that was that one. We also had some discretionary response fund allocations and a youth development fund application, which you can see there. And we allocated funding for our community board projects for the year, which are Summer with Your Neighbours, the Youth Recreation Project, Community Liaison, Community Pride Garden Awards, our Positive Youth Development Fund, and our Community Service Awards. Here we have just a couple more photos from our Edible and Sustainable Garden Award winners from this year. On the left there's a photo of the McFarlane Park Community Garden, which has great input from local children every week, and on the right are the recipients from the Kandavu Community Garden. The Northwest Sport and Community Hub is a relatively new organisation which covers a large part of our board area as well as part of Waimairo's board area. Their vision is to give residents of Northwest Christchurch access to quality shared and multi-use facilities, recreation, community and social activities and services that are provided by organisations working together in an enduring partnership within the community. The group have been working with a number of local sports clubs as well as the YMCA, and last month held a community meeting to gather people's views, ideas and aspirations. It was fantastic to see a large turnout from a wide range of sporting and recreation groups and schools, and the engagement will continue in the near future with 2 more meetings planned which will shape the organisation's strategic plan. Tucked away in the middle of Richmond is a block of land next to Petrie Park, which used to be home to the Christchurch Richmond Bowling Club. And the local community have some amazing ideas for it. We had a briefing last month from members of the Richmond Residents and Business Association who are driving this project to get an update on the engagement they've been doing with the local community. And the themes coming through from the locals are around a gathering place for events, nature-based food space, both passive and active recreation, and a play space. So we look forward to supporting this group to bring these aspirations to life and keep you updated on progress. And then finally, I would like to take this opportunity to convey our board's support for item 31 on your agenda today, Councillor Moore's notice of motion around the notification of road closures. This is an issue our current board and our previous Waipapa board have been pushing for many years now. Despite it being brought up numerous times over those years, we continue to be kept out of the loop way too often, and we'll often find out about a road closure for the first time when we see it when we're out and about or hear about it from residents. We appreciate the start work notices that we do get for the council work in the area, but there seems to be a gap where works are carried out by others and the notification doesn't come through. I urge you to support this notice of motion today, which will allow us as elected members to use our networks and communication channels to help inform the wider community about upcoming road closures, saving frustration, congestion, and ultimately staff time dealing with queries from the public. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good common sense. Who has got any questions? No? Well done. Thank you very much. Okay. Now we've got Helena Marie, please. Good to see you again. Oswald Hornby Rickett.
Thank you. This photo is the first time we've had a photo with all board members, and it happened because we were doing community awards, and we happened all to be there at the same time. And I think it's the first time we've ever had everybody at these awards, so it was really pleasing. So we have now the photo. Decisions made under delegation. The Ethel Waimari safety improvements, they're quite a critical improvement, largely in the student area, and it's one for you to consider today, but I don't think there's any issues there. We're positive about it. Waterloo Road, an additional speed hump was put in there. That's outside Hornby School, so Hornby High School and primary, so it will make it a lot safer. We've been doing the 2023-24 Strengthening Communities Fund. We found we had less money than previous years, and what it is that because our wards have been restructured, we have fewer people in fact, the ward. We're always highly at the end before, so we're probably not back further than any other board, but it was just reduced. We're looking at community board projects. We've delegated the community board youth development fund to staff for any person applying up to $350. We had just 2 applications under discretionary response fund. And now I'll hand over to Marie, who's doing what matters most.
Right. The Council's What Matters Most Community Engagement initiative ended on 15th of August. And along with our community governance staff, our own councillors, Mark Peters, Dyla Harrison Hunt, and Andre Moore, and the board members actively facilitated and supported over 20 events within our community board area. We engaged with the community at various locations, such as the libraries, community meetings, the retirement villages, and even at the shopping malls. It was really interesting to note a pattern of what matters most for different age groups. The Epic Sports provides things for young people to do, which is a community board priority for our Riccarton ward. Every Friday during school terms, they provide hockey, cricket, touch rugby, basketball, and lots of other games and sports in Waikola and Harrington Parks, as well as hip-hop classes at Hornby Salvation Army. We also Matariki celebrations.
Matariki celebrations. We led a number of events which were organised within the Templeton, Hornby and Riccarton communities. The 3 libraries in the ward provided Matariki events for preschoolers and drop-in after-school craft sessions. Back to you, Marie.
the community fundraising efforts for Matatiki Hydrotherapy Pool. So the Rotary Club of Hornby and the Greater Hornby Residents Association are leading the campaign to raise $1.4 million for the hydrotherapy pool at Matatiki Hornby Center. I understand to date they have so far raised 1.17 million already. So fundraising initiatives include a Buy a Bubble campaign, a Splash for Cash Community Day on the 10th of November, and a range of activities including a charity auction and Mufti Days at local schools. That's all from us. Thank you.
Oh, one thing too, I forgot. We would like you to support Andre's motion because it's important that we get
You're out of time.
information. I meant to put that in earlier before the thank you. So we're asking you to support that. And maybe if there's any doubts about it, perhaps you do it for 1 year and see how it works.
Tim, you want 13 seconds of
Just
questions?
13 seconds. With Andre's motion, so is that every single road closure with, like with it's just for redoing a small thing, or is it major, like longer? I mean, it's just, if we got...
We'll do it. We'll do it when we get the...
Well, it's easy for people to say. I'm just trying to understand.
So thank you for that.
We're out of time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Coastal Burwood Linwood, please. My old favourite. That's where I came from. We used to go looking for caterpillar spiders in the...
She's moving. Oops, almost ended up on the floor. So, joys of having short legs, eh?
Tēnā koutou katoa, Mayor and Councillors. As usual, we'll start with a few highlights from our board area. We are very happy to see that work has begun on the All Saints Burwood Community Facility, which is repurposing the old university foundry building. And it's also really awesome that the council initiative started by Carolyn Potter, Give Gear, Get Gear, deliver over 70 pairs of donated pairs of sports shoes to Haida Community Campus through with the support of Eastern Sports and Recreation. And over in the Linwood ward, compost isn't all bad. The University of Canterbury Compost Club were at the Linwood Community Gardens delivering their hot compost workshop for garden volunteers. Maybe they could teach Living Earth a thing or two. And we've also had our second Principals Breakfast Series. Representatives from 7 schools attended a breakfast hui with us on the 17th of July. And we're really lucky to have such committed principals on the east side. We look forward to our next breakfast and work through some common issues. And on to some advocacy. Firstly, I just wanted to draw your attention again to the Portlink development, which council officers have recommended public notification, and consequently the applicant has paused their application, which means more uncertainty and delays for the community who are continuing to experience noise and have given up complaining. Only a handful of them are now complaining. They're just waiting for the decision. There's more uncertainty and ongoing environmental inequity for Woolston. Also wanted to give a quick plug for Councillor Moore's notice of motion. Knowing when roads are closed, no matter who is closing them, is something that would be really helpful. Waka Kotahi are already looking at how they can improve communications with our board, and I don't think it's too much of an imposition to ask any party closing a road to let us know. Don't think it needs to be complicated. And also, it's now in the public realm that the council is looking at cutting or delaying a bunch of cycleways, including in the east. Currently, the east side is underserved by cycleways, as with many other things. The kids of the east need to be able to be safe on their bikes like everyone else. Please keep our cycleways. And Jackie.
Good morning, everyone. Now that I'm firmly on my chair and not running away, there wouldn't be a presentation from the Waitai Community Board without mention of the organics processing plant. And you'll all be aware that consultation has now opened for the interim solutions for the composting plant for the people in Bromley. I think it's unfortunate that in the first week of this being open, we've had numerous things in the media and on social media proposing long-term solutions. Now, there is a place for these long-term solutions to come into play, but this consultation is actually about the interim solutions, not long-term. And it's muddying the waters and thereby undermining the process why people and how people are actually looking at the submission process. So I do thank you, Phil, because I've seen your video that says it's all about the interim solution, and we're very aware of that. But I just want to remind everybody watching, this consultation is about finding an interim solution as quickly as possible for the people of Bromley, and the long-term solution comes afterwards. So if you can please focus your attention on the interim solutions and encourage people to submit on this. Paul and I are working with the Bromley people to increase submissions from that area, and we'd obviously encourage you to all to get people to submit on that. Okay.
Yeah, we don't want the process undermined and trust in the process undermined. Like, there's enough flexibility once we hear from the community to take a whole variety of options that achieve the goals that the community wants. So happy to take any questions.
Thank you. I'll just say I wasn't at the opening of that new pump track down at the Bexley Reserve, but I went there last week, and it is phenomenal. And
did you have a ride?
Yes, I did. Yeah. And I didn't have a crash helmet on because I would have one big enough fit on my daft head. But it's world class. It really is. That they've spent a bit more money, and it is right up there. And I'd suggest anyone wants to take their kids to wear them out, take them down there. It is very good.
It is fantastic. I was at the opening, and we did have a number of our board members go around the track. I wasn't one of them. I have difficulty with the short legs and bikes and things, so I didn't have a go, but maybe in the future on a trike, perhaps.
No, extremely good in your area. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we have Banks Peninsula, please.
Morena, kia ora koutou. Ko Lynn Toko Ingoa. I'm here with Penn today. It's my pleasure to be here and update you on all the happenings in Banks Peninsula. This month, the board approved 20 grants to organisations from Strengthening Communities Funds, plus the DRF grants, as you can see here. We had the ever-popular Summer with Your Neighbours, the Triennial Community Services Awards, where awesome individuals and groups are recognised for their significant voluntary services, and we need volunteers, so go volunteers. The Steadfast site, the board approved a lease to T.S. Godley and also approved consultation on a ground lease to the Cass Bay Residents Association, with the aim to help locals get a community centre and help the Sea Cadets improve their historic facilities. A lease was also granted for the much anticipated Akaroa's Men Shed, and we are working on a proposed mobility park for Akaroa in the intersections of Rue Jolie and Selwyn Ave. In line with our board plan priorities, we are working with our communities to develop facilities with the aforementioned Akaroa Men Shed and the ground lease for the community facilities at Steadfast Cass Bay. And we are connecting Banks Peninsula groups to fundings with our Strengthening Communities Fund and the 2023-24 Discretionary Response Fund. Our community engagement this month, excuse me, the Reserve Committee induction meetings were held at Akaroa and Littleton. They were attended by 25 people from across the peninsula, where presentations from governance and park staff explained the new Reserve Committee terms of reference, the handbook, and unveiled the new webpage, which will be super helpful with schedules, meeting minute templates, and plans at the fingertips of each Reserve Committee. A big focus for our team this month, as far as community engagement, has been the cruise season community meeting, co-hosted by the Community Board and Christchurch NZ. This well-attended open mic meeting heard locals express their thoughts and feelings about the impacts of this past cruise season and concern about future seasons. clear feedback was received, with solutions being investigated, like providing passenger transport direct from the cruise berth into Christchurch, exploring real-time updates from cruise ships around timings, passenger numbers and updates to the community, with the hope that will allow for easier rostering on the ground for local businesses and community planning. And lastly, to undertake a full cost-benefit analysis to the 2023-24 season, including resident satisfaction, visitor experience, environmental impact, economic impact, and including the consideration for proposed limits to the numbers of ships as well as number of passengers visiting at the same time and over the season. Just planning ahead. And in reference to the last picture, do we have the last picture on there? Yes. On the slides, the board had an inspiring visit to Waipuna Bush above Little River. We went on a short field trip hosted by Banks Peninsula Conservation Trust. These thousands of hectares we looked out over onto are an example of the BP landowners and the Conservation Trust working together to covenant the land, allowing the land to regenerate into native forest and in time increase the biodiversity. And it's very exciting for the peninsula. Finally, I'd just like to say there's been so much on this month. I would like to give a big shout out to all our staff. Thank you for going above and beyond. It is much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Toro.
Thanks, Lynn, for that presentation. Good to raise the cruise ship meeting. I've heard all sorts of weird and wonderful things about that meeting, that it was a political meeting, it is whatever, but it was a community board meeting with Christchurch NZ. I think there's a lot of misunderstandings about what the community's views are. There's no, from what I can tell, there's no pro or anti cruise ship per se. It's more about the community don't want things done to them, but rather with them. Is that kind of how you'd perceive it?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you to all the boards for their presentations. I'll now ask for the mover, who is Tim, and the seconder, who is Melanie, to receive the monthly reports. All those in favour? Against? Thank you. Carried. Now move on to item 12, Community Board Part A reports. The first one, I'd like to get through these to morning tea if we can, while these guys are here.